Welcome back to What Was Cooked, the show where I trash my kitchen and you have to guess what I made. Walk through the scene, look at the clues, and pretend this is more important than your real job. Can you guess what was cooked? Alright detectives, how'd you do? Compared to my other videos, this one didn't have a lot of clues, but you know the drill. You trespassed on a crime scene. So unless you leave a comment with your guess, you are complicit. So please, help us catch this perp. Alright guys, in just a moment, right behind me some numbers are going to appear. And I really hope they don't hit me. These numbers are a countdown to the reveal. Once that number hits 0, you are out of time. So make sure you quickly drop your answer, argue with strangers, or if you're smart, just wait until after the reveal because I have no way of knowing. After all, we are playing for bragging rights. Here are the clues that should have led you to steak and eggs. Plenty of evidence pointed us to steak and eggs, but let's break it down piece by piece. First, the steak. The most obvious clue was in the trash, a piece of butcher paper stained with red juices. That kind of packaging almost always comes straight from a butcher. a clear sign that steak was on the menu. Next, we found 3 separate recipes, one for red wine, one for béarnaise, and one for a peppercorn sauce. All 3 are classic pairings with steak. Nearby, the counter held discarded garlic and herbs, ingredients typically used when basting or searing meat. And sitting on the other side of the range, a roasting rack stained with red juices, likely used as a resting spot for the steak once it came off the heat. Now, the eggs. A paper towel on the counter showed yellow stains, unmistakably egg yolks. In the skillet, we saw traces of cooked egg whites, and on that same roasting rack, we saw specks of egg residue where the eggs had likely been set aside while the pan sauce was being prepared. That brings us to the sauce. We saw 3 possible suspects: red wine, béarnaise, and peppercorn. But which one was actually used? The answer came near the end of our walk. On the counter sat a distinct red wine stain, dark and sticky, the first solid link to our culprit. And behind the discarded herbs, a dirty spoon coated in red glaze confirmed it. The sauce wasn't béarnaise or peppercorn, it was a red wine shallot reduction. And what about those other odd clues? The cereal and the milk. At first glance, they might have pointed to a dessert or even a breakfast gone wrong. But a closer look at the dirty bowl in the sink told a simpler story. Milk and cereal remnants still inside. These weren't ingredients, they were just breakfast, eaten separately, unrelated to the dish. Case closed. Every clue adds up. Steak and eggs, a red wine shallot reduction, all cooked in one pan, plated with precision, before the scene went cold. Alright, and there it is, steak and eggs. Yes, this is an actual dish. Now, you might be thinking, oh, we just put 2 random things on a plate and we're supposed to guess. No, that's not true. There's a common misconception with steak and eggs, especially at restaurants. The beauty with steak and eggs is that you cook everything in the same pan to build the flavors. When you go to busy restaurants, they probably have someone on eggs and they probably have someone on a grill and they just throw everything on the same plate. That's not right. With steak and eggs, you cook the steak in the pan, take the steak out, and then you put the eggs in, and then once the eggs cooked, you take that out and you build a pan sauce with all the flavor stuck to the bottom. The flavor stuck to the bottom is called fond. So everything we cook in that cast iron just builds more and more flavor with the more components that we put in. That's the beauty of steak and eggs. It's a beautiful dish. Now, I'm happy to announce the next video that's coming out is going to be my Halloween themed video, so you're not going to want to miss it. So go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any more content. And if you thought this video was too easy, I'm going to link another episode in the end, so make sure you check it out. This is actually episode 10, so there are a lot of mysteries out there that are waiting to be solved. As always, thank you for watching until the end, and I'll catch you in the next one.